switch a load, back to the bank, roll, turn on the channel, hold this young nigga on his grind, but I don't skate.
Before the video starts, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe as well. Now, going into this NBA season, our eyes will be glued to this year's #1 overall pick, Zion Williamson. We already know all about Zion, one of the most highly anticipated rookies coming straight out of school in NBA history, and the most hyped since LeBron in 03. The combination of his strong body and freakish athleticism is what made Zion stand out among the rest. And the expectations for Zion is nothing less than to go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. And just outside of that, you can see the joy on Zion's face when he's playing the game and the passion he plays it with, which all adds up to the reason why Zion is so easy to like. And we have been putting a lot of expectation on Zion, and we just expect him to come into the NBA and be great and stay great immediately. I've seen this case a lot where college players, especially lottery picks, do not make the transition into the NBA coming from college, or do not live up to expectations or the draft pick in which they were chosen. I can go down the list of players that fit this category, and because I love Zion so much, watching him play in college, even if I hate Duke, I still find myself rooting for Zion. But I have to set that aside because I'm sorry to say, but I believe Zion Williamson will be a bust. And now let me reason with you first before you have a heart attack after me calling him a bust. When I say bust, I don't mean he'll be out the league in 3 to 4 years or just be some bum on the bench. I believe Zion is going to be a good to great player at times in the league, but it will be pretty obvious, I believe, that he is nowhere near the player we expected him to be. Whether the expectations were realistic or they were just too high, I do not believe Zion will be anywhere near the player we painted him to be, and when we look back at his resume in the NBA 20-something years from now, it will overall be disappointing given, like I said, the expectations. Now, one thing that stood out about Zion is the fact he is able to be so freakishly athletic given how heavy he is. At least from what we know, Zion is 6'7", 280 pounds. He is 19 and is the second heaviest player in the NBA, only behind Boban. I don't know what that sounds like to you, but when I hear that, nothing good comes to my head. In fact, I hear a lot of injuries if Zion not only continues to go about his NBA career weighing this much, but also if he does not start to lose weight. You cannot be that big in the NBA and not suffer a series of injuries. I mean, Zion already has a track record of injuries. He was injured against North Carolina on a slip, and then in the first quarter in the NBA Summer League. I can't even buy the argument that if he maintained it in school, he can do it early on in the NBA, because the NBA is a whole new game. Everyone's a grown man. You're going to be taking body and absorbing contact for 82 games every other night. In college, it was really only 30-something games 2 times a week. So the comparison from college to the NBA isn't a comparison at all. Zion not only needs to be concerned about his weight, but he needs to quickly get into shape, or NBA ready shape, because this is one of the most exhausting sports, and if you're not in shape or just too heavy, injuries are just bound to happen. One of my other concerns about Zion is basically his jump shot. It is not really minuscule at all for me to criticize his jump shot, especially in today's NBA game where a jump shot almost makes or breaks you. Zion's college shooting percentage was 38% from the three-pointer, 64% from the free throw, and 74% from the field. Now, a blind perspective would just look at those numbers and immediately wave him off and say he's fine. Well, that's not the case here. Zion simply doesn't have a jumper. He has a set shot, not a jumper. You can never be the best player in today's game or one of the best if you cannot hit perimeter shots. When all else goes wrong and the defenders flood the paint, you can't rely solely on just bodying guys and laying the ball or dunking it. What are you going to do? We saw this over the past couple seasons with Giannis, who is slowly developing that jumper from a set shot and is now taking shots off the dribble. Now adding that element of a consistent jump shot to his already dominating paint driving game. This is something Zion is going to need to develop, because you cannot make a career in the NBA with the expectations we have set on him, just dunking on people and driving it in. And yeah, we can sit here and say Zion has all his career to develop that jumper. Why worry about it now? Well, just look at Ben Simmons. Yes, Ben Simmons is still only 22, but he's entering his 4th season in total in being in the NBA, and was supposed to be developing that jumper, and from what I've seen, there's no way, he's not even close to developing it at this point. There are a lot of players in NBA history who was just never able to develop that jumper and not take that next step in their game. I'm afraid that's where I believe Zion is going to struggle with the most, developing his jumper from a set shot to that jumper. And now, really my final reason why I think Zion will not live up to any expectations is the skill set. And I remember Gilbert Arenas was right on the dot a couple months ago when he brought it up, saying that Zion has no true skill. I'm not saying Zion is not skilled, I'll be idiotic to say that. But let's just take Blake Griffin for example. Blake Griffin came to the NBA and immediately became an all-star, averaged 22 points, 12 rebounds, he was just dunking on everybody. But when you really look at that season, a lot of his points was just from dunking and fast break scoring. When you get into a half-court set or the game slows down, a lot of these guys who cannot hit a jumper when the paint is clogged get exposed. Blake Griffin back in the day, Ben Simmons as we saw recently in the playoffs, and even Giannis at times. The reason I brought up Blake Griffin is because in his early years, when he was with the Clippers, he relied solely on his athletic ability and thought he could just dunk or use his athleticism for everything. And it wasn't until recently where we've seen how Blake Griffin developed his game. He is now consistently hitting three-pointers and has a set of moves in the post and can now hit perimeter shots on and off the dribble. And what came from this, being an all-star once again and leading the Pistons back into the playoffs. With Zion, what I fear is that he will get too comfortable with the idea of just trying to outmuscle everybody because all his life he's gotten away with it. And I'm sure he will get away with it at times on a given night in the NBA. However, when the game slows down, when you get into a half-court set and the other team takes away your strength, athleticism is not the answer. That's where skill comes in, and the most skilled players in the league are always the best players in the league. Zion needs to develop his skill set that will come through in times like this in the NBA instead of solely relying on his athleticism. I believe Zion will still be a great player, but will never be the best player in the game or arguably one of the best, and will not meet those expectations we put on him being the most highly anticipated rookie since LeBron. I hope one day I can look back at this and be proven wrong, because I am rooting for Zion, but I just don't see it. In the comments, let me know what you guys think about this. Do not forget to follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys later.